This is a Fangirls Going Rogue priority transmission.
All team, give it everything you got.
It's time to fangirl flail with Fangirls Going Rogue.
Count me in. I don't think there's anything more important in the Star Wars universe than the fans.
News, discussion, and commentary from the female point of view.
You call this a diplomatic solution?
No, I call it aggressive negotiations.
With your hosts, Teresa Delgado, Trisha Barr, and Sarah Woloski.
Boy, am I glad to hear your voice.
Strap in, because this is where the fun begins.
I like the sound of that.
Welcome to the second part of our three-part The Mandalorian press event extravaganza. I'm Trisha Barr, one of the co-hosts of Fangirls Going Rogue. If you missed the first part, interviews with showrunners Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, I highly recommend it. If you've already listened to those, welcome to our continuing coverage, this time featuring roundtable interviews with the actors. My co-hosts Teresa Delgado and Sarah Woloski join me to discuss this really fun interview afterwards. Sarah, would you like to introduce this panel?
Well, part 2 of our priority transmissions for The Mandalorian starts now, because now we are going to share with you the interviews that Trisha got to do at the Mandalorian press conference, but she actually got to sit down with the stars of The Mandalorian. So we have here an interview with Pedro Pascale, Carl Weathers, and Gina Carano. And they play, in turn, Pedro Pascale plays the Mandalorian, of course. Do we know his name?
No.
Nope.
Oh my goodness. Okay. And Carl Weathers plays Greef Carga, and Gina Carano plays Cara Dune.
I just want to give a little bit of kind of just the vibe of the room. One, it's a round table, so there's 6 different outlets, and these are all fan outlets in this, so you get a really different type of question when you have really hardcore fans asking the questions. It makes it kind of fun. And obviously Dave Filoni was more familiar with most of us in this and then in the previous interview. But in this one, the actors had never really had this kind of interaction with hardcore fans, but they seemed so excited about it. And Pedro Pascal had been filming, so they're filming season 2, and he apparently had like a really long day the day before, so he was tired, but he marshaled on. And Gina came in and shook everyone's hand and introduced herself, which was so impressive. And Carl Weathers is just class all around, and you're going to get to hear that in this interview. So you guys, let's just enjoy.
What was it like working with Dave Filoni, who, is kind of the more, known in the Star Wars universe, but not as well known in other things? What were your reactions to working with Dave Filoni?
Well, go ahead, Jim.
Oh, well, so I didn't really know who Dave Filoni was to this world, because I was always, I can't say really I was a fan, I just enjoyed the movies, the Star Wars movies, but I've really learned what a genuine fan is of Star Wars, and that you guys are your own stars, in my opinion. You guys are the stars of Star Wars, because you literally just, from what you guys do, have made things happen. Like I feel like the Mandalorian's happened because of you, and so Dave Filoni has been one of your biggest voices, and so I didn't know that coming in, and so Dave was just like this cool cat on set. He'd come up and he's like, "Hey, let me tell you how to use this, and that's what this does." And then I was like, "Oh, this is the guy you go to." Like I learned that quickly, and so I'd come up with all these annoying questions, and he's like, "It's okay," and he would make me laugh, and I was like, "Gosh, that Dave guy's really cool." Well, it wasn't until like halfway through I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Dave's a superstar!" Like Dave's the guy. And then just knowing, I just love that I didn't know him, and then when I got to know him, I was like, dude, this guy is like solid. He's so genuine, down to earth, passionate, and it's really cool to see everything that's happening in his career now.
It is. It's very unique because of his genuineness.
He's a good guy.
Because everyone else is so disingenuous. But you don't get there.
You're talking about me, right? Everything's about me.
The funny thing is, like, he's. I think that he's very self-deprecating in that he's so he has developed all of his storytelling within the medium of animation, incredible animation, and so the newness of live action to him, he's very humble to it, but he's also extremely open, and so there's no he has no agenda. It's such a completely collaborative experience. And it's true, you don't get that often. You don't get that kind of first floor. You don't get that first floor experience, especially with something that is as established as the Star Wars universe. So to have somebody who is as excited about it as you are, and as the fans are, and as anyone who really wants a good story makes for a really, really genuine, unique experience. He's such a good guy.
And he loves wolves, and he likes hockey. He loves hockey.
And he has a great head of hair, but he won't take off that hat. It's so crazy. I just assumed he was bald.
He loves his cowboy hat.
His hat. He picks his hats based on the project he's working on.
Oh, does he?
Oh, there you go. You know a lot then. You ask us questions. My experience with Dave was somewhat like Gina's, because I didn't know the background players really, in this whole universe very well. Everybody knows who George Lucas is.
Yeah.
And George is actually a very nice man, a really nice man who's very low key. It's amazing, when you're around him for any bit of time, he listens a lot. He doesn't say a lot, but he listens a lot, clearly. But Dave is very much the same way, However, when you ask Dave a question, Dave can give you an answer that really can fulfill beyond what you asked him, because he knows the material so well. And Gina has used this word a lot about passion. Dave is quietly passionate about this whole thing, And when I'm around both he and John and get a chance to kind of hear the conversations and be a fly on the wall with their conversations, I'm telling you, they can spin off into the outer rim with their conversations about the Star Wars universe and about the lore and about the mythology and about what George intended and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I just sit there and it's, the other thing about this is, and I mean this sincerely, maybe it's a function of getting older and realizing how little you know, but I found on this project, I found that I'm so interested when I go there during the day in what I'm going to learn. That's how big my ego was. And because of this group, how less of it I take to the table. And it's a really, you used the word liberating earlier. It's a really liberating experience when you have so many smart, talented, collaborative, good-hearted, caring people around you on a daily basis. And what proves it for me is, one day we were in a meeting, and I've been in prep stage for the episode that I'm going to do, and I'd asked John a question about story, and we were trying to figure it out. And the thing about John is, John will listen to you. And he's got his notepad and he's writing down, and he won't just spew out an answer to shut you off, because he's really listening. He's waiting until you finish before he responds. So we go through that meeting, and he's writing down stuff, and he goes, okay, let me think about this. I know this and this and this and this, but let me walk away and think about this. And so we come back, and we're in a meeting with a group of people there, all the crafts people and creative people involved in post-production, production, and pre-viz and all that. And John says to me, say, we don't have to know all the answers. Somebody here will come up with the answers. These are really smart people. I'll be damned, by the end of the meeting, we had the answer. And the answer was better than anything I had thought I could get to, and better than anything John had come up with. And I found that experience to be so consistent time and time and time again. So for me, it's one of the most exciting projects as a result of just that. There is so much that you get a chance to learn. And what you learn a lot about yourself is let me just listen and see what happens here. Somebody's going to come up with something that's really brilliant. And I've said this a million times. I don't have to be the sharpest tool, in that box, but I can take credit for it when I'm directing. They come up with the answer, I'll take credit for it. It's okay.
So for this season 1, you have a diverse slate of directors. Do you guys want to talk about what some of the other directors have brought to the series?
I really loved working with Bryce.
No, you're not supposed to.
Oh no, somebody else talk. I don't want to do this. Like, it's so strict of what you can talk about.
No, that was on StarWars.com. So
okay. So I worked with Bryce, but from the beginning, Bryce was kind of helping me with the costume. And so it's really like, to take a curvier woman and put her in something that's almost like a football uniform. It's like you can lose your femininity real quick, and you can lose your body in that. And you of course, you want to love what you're wearing, right? So from the beginning, she was like, no. She's like, let's go back there. This is what we're going to do with the outfit. This will help this area. This will help. And so what could have been originally a box frame ended up being this great, hourglass shape. And that meant a lot to me because, of course, I want to be a Mack truck and be able to mow anybody over. Like, I do that naturally, but I also...
Yes, you do.
I also want to be who I am, and I want to bring that to her character as well and show a strong woman. So that was really key from the beginning of creating her costume and then putting it on every day. Like, I enjoyed wearing it. I enjoyed putting on that costume so much. Like, I can't get enough of it.
What was the emphasis on eyes?
I really loved it. Did anybody else like putting on their costume?
We also liked seeing you in your costume. Okay, so you guys made right choices.
Thank you.
Definitely did.
But then, working with all of the directors, it's been really cool. I mean, to see Deb Chow, that is insane. Like, she's going to be doing what she's doing. And then, Taika.
Dave is first.
And Dave.
He's written them alongside John, but it's his first foray into directing live action.
It was incredible.
And he was fantastic too, because you're working with somebody who's first-time director, and everybody has a learning curve. And so if you've been around long enough, you can see the difference in somebody who's really well seasoned, But Dave was, first of all, John's there, so he can rely on him. But Dave was fantastic, and again, you just could learn so much from him. So watching him as a director and watching him as a director who'd been immersed in animation and telling stories that way, and who's been a part of the Star Wars brand for so long, you just saw him gain confidence daily with what he was doing, but also at the end of the day, the episode turns out really good. So, we're fortunate. We're really fortunate that we had a group of directors, I think, who all brought something really special to the table. And Deborah in particular, I just thought was pretty amazing because, man, it was huge stuff she was doing. And Taika had his kind of wild sense of humor and played wacky music.
He played music during the scenes, which gave it its own fun vibe. And then he would show up in pajamas sometimes,
it was crazy.
Little slippers.
Wait, how about the couch?
Yeah, and he had a couch. Yeah, it's just where Bryce would sit on a box.
I'm just
Taika would sit sprawled out on a couch in pajamas. And so it was really, and it's really fun at the end of each episode. You really look forward to kind of unwrapping, oh gosh, who did that? Who directed that? And when you see it, then you can kind of look back to the episode and you're like, oh, I see it. I feel that energy of that person in there, so it's cool.
How do I say it? As far as diversity goes, this is the most diverse cast within the starring roles. So what's that been like for you, and what do you hope that people watching take from that?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll chime in on this one because first and foremost, it's so refreshing. I remarked earlier about the one scene I remember from the original Star Wars where, in the cantina and the guy yells out, "We don't like your kind in here." And it was every different looking creature, person, thing in there and yell at it. Someone we don't like your kind in here. What kind are you talking about? You know, so the irony of that. And in this world, every kind is walking through this place. And they all have a very, they're all an integral part of this world, this universe. And they add so much color, you know? So for me, something as simple as casting background, I want to see a really diverse, and when I say diverse, I'm not just talking about the color of a person's skin. I want to see height. I want to see somebody who's got an limb missing. I want to see an albino. I want to see small people. I want to see children. I mean, I want to see anything that we have experienced in the world to be in that universe, because they're disparate creatures coming from every part of the universe. So why wouldn't they be there? Why would it be this kind of homogenized world? That to me isn't Star Wars at all. And that's what I find fascinating and great about it.
Sorry guys, we're going to have to cut it.
Jeez, I put a button on that, didn't I?
No.
One more question.
One more, there you go. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, so I'm from the Mandalorian Passion Club, so I wanted to ask you guys, Pedro, you said it was a super pinch me moment when you put on that helmet. Were you surprised by how complex the costumes were, the Mandalorian armor, and how difficult it is to wear it?
I wasn't surprised, actually. If you know, nothing that looks that good is going to be easy, and it is humbling to remember to really respect like the artwork that goes into building this world. You know, we talk about the characters and the filmmakers, but of course you all know better than anybody the departments involved in making the whole piece. I mean, to me, they are the biggest stars, really. The people that work on every single detail of our costumes, of the sets, the special effects, the lighting, and all of it. So that you just have to surrender. You have to surrender to that and remind your body every hour to different ways how to cope. You know. Because there the language of the character is strictly physical at this point, and so negotiating his story with how with all of the pieces is his story essentially, and that's new to me, and it's cool, but it's very challenging.
I just I'm burning calories right now. I'm burning calories.
My spine is crunching.
I feel like it's okay. There's only 3 more. We'll make it quick.
You guys just gotta answer quickly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Oh, so it's us.
Thank you. It's not at all.
No, okay.
I'll try to keep this very brief. Thank you for talking about your costumes, because as actors, that's the last piece that's going to ground you into a scene. And we've heard a lot about that and look forward to seeing how that evolves. With that, sir, let me turn over to you. As an iconic American actor who's been part of some amazing franchises, how do you feel just personally about, or has anyone in your family talked to you about, now you're part of this franchise on a brand new modern platform, and a whole new generation of people are going to discover you, and they're going to go back and see who you really are. How do you feel about that, just as a personal matter, being part of this great franchise?
Well, I haven't talked to anybody in my family about it, but I'm acutely aware after almost 50 years of doing this as a professional actor, being paid for the first one I ever, that does cause you to cough. Causes me to cough sometimes too.
Well timed.
Yeah, but I'm really acutely aware of it because I've had really good fortune, and at times when things appear to be tough, they're not really. It's just, it's not the time for the thing you want to do, where you're looking to go with a career. And I was pretty conscious of where I wanted to go. Now, I didn't know how it was going to turn out, but I knew where I wanted to go. And so there was a lot of stuff I wouldn't do because that didn't seem to fit into where I wanted to go. But as this has come along, as in every decade, I've managed to sort of meet up with the right project at the right time, and it's kept me alive, and it's kept me in front of a new audience, and kept me in touch with a new demographic. And so, you know, in the 1970s, when there were kids who all these years later have their own kids, I am creating, in collaboration with these folks and all of our cast and crew and the creators, a whole nother character that they can say, oh wow, that's that guy, you know. So being aware of that is number one, but also there's something in terms of a career, you know, an arc in a career that early on I realized, you know, was important, and what I wanted to do was have longevity. That to me was the thing, you know, and what can I do to create, ensure, to deliver in terms of longevity, and be a Burt Lancaster, be a Sidney Poitier, be a Dan Duryea, be an Audie Murphy, be some of those people, you know, and so many others. So, you know, looking at Harry Belafonte today and when he began, I mean, people don't know sometimes how much this man has contributed to the entertainment industry and to our lives. And so to me, that consciousness of that, you know, is the thing, and I'm really mindful of it all the time.
Adds to the fun for you.
As to what?
Adds to the fun of it.
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me? I mean, I've got something new I can learn, and something new I can somehow contribute, and something new I can appear to be. And, you know, again, keep people entertained and say, wow, I didn't know you could do that.
And he shares it.
Can we have more?
He shares it with us. He
Yeah.
gives lots of
Well,
good tips.
we're all
on
sharing.
set.
We wish you guys as long and storied as a career.
Let's hope there's some more. There's some years to come.
Oh, yeah. He's not stopping here.
Yeah.
All right, next question.
Speaking of the fun, we saw your video when they were rolling out the toys a few weeks ago. You guys were having a blast. So looking back to April in Chicago, what's it like walking into this big universe with all these crazy fans? You look like you're having a lot of fun.
I mean...
We were acting.
And you're still acting, yes.
I really hate Gina's action.
I mean, I don't know. I
really
kind
cool.
of came out of the... I've been, you know, my career has been like this. It feels like the second you get traction, you get like, you know, it's been all over the place. But I think with this job, I feel like I'm finally on the right path. I feel like I've been following my heart. And as soon as I decided to start taking myself more seriously as an actor, this job, like the phone rang 10 minutes later. It's almost that close how that happened. And then the reception, I feel like with fans, like, I feel like people who are passionate about something, if you want to share that with them, then I feel, and you're genuine with people, I feel like that's received. So I might not know everything I need to know about Star Wars in order to be on everybody's level, but I'm willing to learn, and I feel like you guys are all willing to share and willing to, it's not that, I feel like you want more people to be a part of this incredible story. You just want to keep the bar high so that when people come into this universe, you know.
It's the most welcoming experience.
It really is. It's been really positive.
It feels like being part of every single project that you get involved in. You know, you're becoming a part of the family. This is the most invited into a family I've ever felt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, it is an energy. It is an exchange of energy. It hit me like the back of a jet in Chicago. Really. That was my first
When we walked out
visceral
there,
realization.
oh, wow.
I don't think we were prepared. I wasn't prepared for that.
Neither was I.
I was like, wow, that's what the Star Wars world is.
The thing is, I've experienced that with other projects, but nothing was like that.
Yeah.
That was surprising to me. You know?
Some energy right there.
So it just gave me, I was going to say, it gave me this huge shot of energy, because then you realize, oh, wait a minute, we really are in this thing, you know?
And if you can do the job,
we filmed it. You can erase it now. We're solid.
It helps you do the job. It's a component that you didn't, especially with Star Wars, because it can be very intimidating, and it is a visual effects experience and an art department experience. And so then, as a cast member, and for that kind of support to sort of lift you into it, is such an essential component, more so than anything I've ever done.
Thank you.
Last question.
With your characters, approaching your characters, was there ever a danger you felt, especially with people like Dave Filoni around, where there's so much history in this universe that maybe you felt like you could get lost in that history as you were putting your character together, or what was that balance that you struck in finding your character, knowing the history that you needed to, and then performing that?
Well, I get to get away with all the mystery. It's as much of a mystery to me as it is to the audience. And my justification, which I practically discovered talking about it today, not really. I'm a very prepared actor. But sometimes this is going to sound corny, but sometimes we're very much a mystery to ourselves, our own identity, and the discovery, to discover what you're capable of. Or what your destiny is, or whether you will live for yourself or whether you will live for others, is very much part of Filoni's and Favreau's, vision of this story that is very much built on what George Lucas introduced to all of us. So, in getting into all of the details of the history, that's Dave's, that's their job. It's not ours.
And I really, yeah. Well, I really liked how something that sounds when you read the script. I'm like, what in the heck does half this mean? How is it going to come out of my mouth in an understanding way? But what they're really good at, I think John's kind of an emotional genius because he placed me in this character because he wanted me to play this character, and he is really smart in looking to who somebody is. Now, okay, she plays the badass, but she's also got a vulnerability about her. She's also got this, and he's going to sit there and incorporate it into the story and use these little things where instead of just standing there and being the badass, oh wait, you're kind of the badass, but you're also this, and I just think it's nice that they're this, like they talk on such a genius level, but they're able to communicate to me. Like I understand what he says. I understand what things mean after they explain it, and the door's always open. Like okay, Dave is like an open door. Hey, ask me anything. Like anything you need to understand. It's that kind of stuff.
They both are. I guess I've got one last thing, which is kind of funny because it relates to this. We all go into this stuff, and you guys are super serious about this. About the world and the universe and the lore and the mythology and all that. So I was going through the script that's coming up, and I've read, good Lord, I know I've read it at least 24 times now. But I would have these questions, and finally there was this one thing I kept forgetting to get addressed. It was just a line that a character says. And finally I got to John and I said, oh yeah, but there's this one line, because I'd asked several people to ask John, and nobody had actually finally got an answer. So finally I asked John, so what does it mean when he says this? And I'm thinking, man, this has to relate to some character, something somebody said in Star Wars here, John says to him, oh, I just made that up.
Which is what Dave would say, George would say.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
but it was so perfect because it made sense that this was something special. But it wasn't special at all. He just said, oh, I just made that up. Yeah. Okay, that's creativity. Yeah. That's what you do. It's all made up. But people buy into it, and it becomes this thing.
So something is holding a blaster.
Brilliant.
How did they come up with holding the blaster like that? And Dave asked George, and then George was like, oh, that's just it. Oh, okay, that works. Go ahead, that's good. So I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, I like how they did it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
So I just wanted to say that I think it's hilarious that their character names, other than Pedro's, unless the character's actual name falls into this, their names sort of have pieces of their actual names in them. Like Greef Carga, like there's Carl in there. And then Cara Dune, there's Carano in her name. And I think it's funny.
Should we start guessing then what the Mandalorian's real name is?
We could try, but it's got to be something with a P.
Right? Yeah.
And if it is, that's going to be fantastic.
I know. Peppa. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
I feel like that's going to be maybe the reward we'll get at the end, is to finally figure out who he is.
Right. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so we got the directors for the episodes.
Ooh.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, they went right out of the box with Dave Filoni.
I know.
Nice.
That's really awesome. Although I am kind of bummed that Bryce Dallas Howard only has one. But,
yeah, she's directing episode 4 or 104, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Also, it's only 8 or 9 episodes?
Yeah, it's 8 episodes is
man.
what we're getting. Yeah.
Now, do we know if they're hour long or 45 minute, or are they 30 minute, or?
I don't know, but the one good thing about TV type stuff is they can sort of do what they need to do. They're not beholden to, in this type of format, they're not limited to, it has to be, all the episodes of animation are 22 minutes, so they can fit their 8 minutes of commercial in the half hour. So sometimes you'll see on some shows where they'll do a little bit longer, but I'm sure their budget kind of dictates too how much they can do, because they have to justify the special effects, especially in this one, and that kind of stuff. The second and sixth episode are Rick Famuyiwa, who was the name attached to the Children of Blood and Bone book that Lucasfilm is supposedly purchasing to do the rights of. So they must have been impressed by what he did on these 2 episodes. And then Deborah Chow, who does the 3rd and 7th episode, is the name attached to the Kenobi show. And so she's going to be doing the show running on that. So exciting. I mean,
that's cool.
Sounds like we got some really amazing directors, and there was a lot of chuckling with Taika Waititi, who is from Marvel, that apparently he brings his own little sense of humor to this show. So I'm intrigued to what that means.
I'm very intrigued because Taika Waititi directed Thor Ragnarok, and that film is off the wall. I remember watching it and being like, what is happening? And then we went to the press conference and Taika was there, and yes, you took one listen to him and it was oh, I see why this film was so crazy and off the wall and funny, where you think it shouldn't be, but it worked. So I'm really interested to see how he is going to direct this final episode of The Mandalorian season 1, and whether the tone will be that much different, because he's helming that particular episode.
And he's also playing a character.
Oh, that's right. Isn't he a droid?
Yes.
What is it? Not IG-88. IG-11?
No, but he's an IG droid, right?
Yeah.
I really liked listening to all of them, and I mean, no surprise here, but Gina Carano was my favorite out of listening to, and she had just a really great answer about costumes, and specifically referencing Bryce Dallas Howard, and that was just fantastic.
Well, it's always great when you can have another lady kind of help you out and make sure that you look badass and feminine at the same time. So
right.
Definitely.
And for people who, because you think that everybody knows Carl Weathers, right? Because he mentions he's been acting for 50 years. He's been getting paid to act for 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
But you're like, okay, if you don't know him, because maybe you don't know him, maybe you don't know who he is. He was in Toy Story 4 as a voice.
He's Combat Carl.
Yes. And he also did other animation, which I found out, including Star and the Forces of Evil. Mm-hmm. And then he's been on the Chicago TV series, which I don't know if people watch those. I think they all run in a block on NBC.
Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, and Chicago PD. And I watch them all.
Wow.
So you're familiar. So he's crossed over in between those episodes. He also did Arrested Development. And,
nice.
Of course, his biggest, most famous role is for Rocky.
And who was he in Rocky?
Apollo Creed.
Okay. Sorry. I'm sure if I saw a picture, I'd be like, oh, okay.
He is been announced for being a director in season 2. That was announced in the press conference. And so I went and looked up. I'm like, what has he directed? And apparently that's his passion, which I found really interesting. He directed episodes of Silk Stockings. Did you guys ever watch that show?
I did not.
Oh my gosh, it might be a little like before your time, but again, as he's been around for a while, and he did the new Magnum PI, not the old.
I remember
Magnum
that.
PI. Yeah, and then he directed a bunch of episodes of the show Sheena.
Oh,
which you guys may not be familiar with either.
No idea what that is.
Okay, well, you really would be going into blast from my past in those. But I'm excited to see that he's going to be, because he just sounded so passionate, and I don't know, like, he's not like this super Star Wars fan, but he's a fan of the storytelling and being able to be part of this huge immersive universe. So I just feel like he's going to bring some like gravitas to whatever he does in the universe.
That's awesome to hear. Storytelling is what we want. Really good storytelling for Star Wars.
Well, we hope you guys have enjoyed this priority transmission. You can visit us in between shows over at fangirlsgoingrogue.com. On Twitter, we're at FGGoingRogue. Trisha is at Fangirl Cantina. I am at Ice Cold Penguin. Sarah is at Jedi Tink. And Sandra is at Geek Chic 9.
If you want to leave us a voicemail, 331-21-EWOKS. That's 331-213-9657. You can always email us, contact@fangirlsgoingrogue.com. Facebook, just type Fangirls Going Rogue, and Tumblr, fangirlsgoingrogue.tumblr.com.
And on Instagram, we are at FG Going Rogue. And you can also join our Facebook group so we can all chat about The Mandalorian or Disney Plus or whatever is exciting coming out. And you can search Facebook for Fangirls Going Rogue group.
And please go to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review. We need your reviews so more people can find us and we can do more awesome interviews like this.
So until next time, da 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 da, yub,
Yub.
yub.
Yub.